standing on the corners, walking, just driving some of the hottest cars New York has ever seen. From dropping some of the hottest verses rappers ever heard. From the dope spot with the smoke, fleeing the murder scene, you know me well. From nightmares of a lonely cell, my only hell. But since when y'all brothers know me to fail? Heck no, we're all my brothers with the rubber grips for shots. And if you with me, mama, rub on your tits and whatnot. I'm from the school of the hard knocks. You must not let outsiders violate our boxing in my plot. Let's stick up the world and split it 50-50, Let's take the dough and stay real taking, And sip the Chris and get pissy, flowing beneath me like the memory of my brother Biggie. Baby, you know it's hell when I come through. The life and times of Sean Carter, Brother Volume 2. Y'all brothers get ready. It's the hard knock life for us. It's the hard knock life for us. Instead of treated, we get tricked. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. It's the hard knock life. It's the hard knock life for us. It's the hard knock life for us. Instead of treated, we get tricked. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. It's the hard knock life.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to be back with you guys for a special edition of this particular show of Do Your Own Research / Friday Surprise with Max. We have some announcements, obviously, to get into, and some new discoveries. In regards to the new discoveries, it's going to be about this whole thing of XRP, Constellation DAG, Jasmy, and Quant. And then later on into the show, at the top of the hour, we have a special guest. It's the Prairie Banana. Him and another particular person who he's a colleague of and so on are going to be sharing pTGC and also UFO. Now, again, a disclaimer, this is not UFO, the meme coin from last bull run. It has nothing to do with this. So we'll get into that in the top of the hour. Welcome these guys on. But whatever the case be, it's going to be a solid show. There's a lot of new announcements, that we're going to get into. And that basically is, let's face it, the whole thing of Ripple and the SEC lawsuit. I saw a guy real early this morning state that, it was going to end today. And that particular person was right. So if anything, lots of new major news. We've seen a lot of things in regards to Trump, Zelensky, Russia, you name it, right? What's going on with that? But whatever the case be, I'm sure you guys are paying attention to a lot of recent news. The market's down, market's up. Is it up? Is it coming? Is it swinging back? But whatever the case be, smash the like if you haven't done so already. If you're new, I know I have to earn your like, but whatever the case be, it's just a disclaimer. It does help the channel, helps the community. Thank you so much. Let's read the first comment of the day. And it comes from Prairie Banana, who will be joining me a little bit later. Thank you so much. Good to have you here. Let's welcome a few more of you guys. Kestrel, let's go aliens, he says. And David, all right, sounds good. Yes, we're going to get into that here in just a brief moment. I'll just pull it up on you guys' screen just in case you don't know about it. There's so many publications about this. So, even on simple search, everybody's putting this on blast, right? XRP news today, SEC to drop Ripple appeal at closed door meeting. People are wondering. And basically, what's the outcome going to come out in regards to SEC versus Ripple lawsuit? A little bit more in regards to some of this. SEC case may near end as Ripple fights for freedom. It's a lot of, mixed results, but whatever the case be, it's on the mind of everybody. Let's face it. That's big news to say the least. So read a few more comments and then we'll kick it right into what we have. Can't read all the comments, but nonetheless, I'll do my best. So Iron Man XRP, I have a bad, I don't know what that means. UFO? All right, cool. Well, welcome, Iron Man XRP. Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk is in the house. Terrell, good to see you. Yeah, Crypto Talk, always good to see you. OG like yourself. Terrell, always good to see you, man. Dennis Lil, just welcome some more people from the community. Maximus Crypto, thanks so much good to see you, brother. All right. Good to see you guys. So we're gonna do, besides welcome a few more people like Brandon, XXI Game, and so on. Just gonna welcome just maybe a few more. And let's see here. Let's just read a tad bit more, and we're gonna kick in what we have. So, Richie Rich, it's been a while, man. It's been, as the saying goes, it's been a minute. Love getting paid to watch Max live. That's funny. Well, that's cool, man. Right on. Good to see you, Richie Rich. It's definitely been a while. I'm going to kick it into what we have because I'm kind of on a time constraint. You know, want to respect the guests that we have here, but at the same time, want to bring some announcements to you guys. So whatever the case be, so far, people are kind of filtering in, which is really, really cool. Hey, listen, guys, I realize, you know, let's face it, a lot of you guys are really worried about what's going on. So, you know, I promised you guys I would make some of these videos. I did 2 of them. So, you know, this one is for all you guys, right? This is a live show. You're tuning in and you're not used to this type of format. Hey, it's a live show. It could be fun. We could have our ups. We could have our downs. But whatever the case be, you got to keep your head up, to say the least. Come right back. I'm telling you flat out. Got some real key discoveries that we want to basically get into, right? That's the bottom line. And a lot of people sometimes, let's face it, they don't quite get that, right? And it is what it is. So anyway, we're going to share some of this with you guys. And I don't know why this is not pulling up, but it's not pulling up. So let's see what's going on with that. All right. I see what's going on. Okay. I'm going to pull it up from the other screen. Give me a second. And where is this at in this section? I'm usually, you guys know me, I got all my ducks in a row, but on this one, I was kind of trying to pull it out. All right, let's see here. It is on this nice little list that we have to get into. Yes. Keep your head up, to say the least, right? Right.
So will the real men get up? I know you're fed up, ladies, but keep your head up. Child, things are gonna get easier. Keep your head up, child. Things will get brighter. Oh, keep your head up, child. Things are gonna get easier. Keep your head up, child. Things will get brighter. Hey yo, I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the ghetto didn't seem so tough. And though we had it rough, we always had enough. I huffed and puffed about my curfew and broke the rules. Ran with the local crew and had a smoke or two. And I realized mama really paid the price. She nearly gave her life to raise me right. And all I had to give her was my pipe dream of how I rock the mic and make it to the bright screen. I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. It's hard to be legit and still pay your rent. And in the end it seems I'm heading for the pen. I try to find my friends, but they're blowing in the wind. Last night my buddy lost his whole family. That's how I rock my mic and make it to the bright screen. I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. It's hard to be legit and still pay your rent. And in the end it seems I'm heading for the pen. I try to find my friends, but they're blowing in the wind. Last night my buddy lost his whole family. It's gonna take the man and me to talk to this insane. Though he seems to write a yellow letter, I try to keep my head up and still keep from getting wetter. You know it's funny when it rains it pours. Keep your head up, child. Things will get brighter. Oh, oh. left you by your own foot. Thank the Lord for my kids, but then nobody else won't let you all by yourself. Cause I think we can make it, in fact I'm sure. And if you fall, stand tall and come back for more. Cause ain't nothing worse than when your son wants to know why his daddy don't love him no more. The kid who Wayne was dealt this hell of a hand without a man feeling helpless. Because there's too many things for you to deal with. Dying inside but outside you're looking fearless. While the tears is rolling down the cheeks, you're steady hoping things don't all that was weak. Cause if it did, you couldn't take it, and don't blame me. I was given this world, I couldn't make it. And now my son's getting older and older and older from having the world on his shoulders. While the rich kids is driving there, I'm still trying to hold on to my surviving friend. And it's crazy, it seems it'll never let up. But please, you got to keep your head up. You got to keep your head up.
I couldn't agree more, everybody. Keep your head up. I understand that, a lot of us are looking at some of this stuff, and some of you guys, you're doubting some of this, and you're wondering why in the world did you get into some of these things, some of these investments, to say the least. It feels like when it rains, it pours and so on, right? It can get kind of tough out there, right? We all lost some people. We lost some of our friends, lost some of our family. And it's just like, man, is there going to be greener days? Is there going to be brighter days ahead? My answer to you is yes. Yeah, I think so. But whatever the case be, you got to stay the course and, again, keep your head up, right? We're going to jump into the coverage of what we have. I kindly ask you, if you could, to smash the like. It does help this channel. It's free. We're going to kick it into what we have in regards to all of this. And then we'll get back into the comments briefly. It's going to be quite a nice show for you guys. The first thing I want to highlight for you is ChainStats Pro. It's basically a platform with real utility. It's not a meme coin or any of that stuff. It's built on the XRPL. And I'm proud to say that this is a project that was launched by a great researcher, the one and only Tokenizer. A lot of you guys are very familiar with him. There's other people that are part of the space, like Nick and Cash Officials, also part of this particular group of people that are, trying to get the word out there in that regard. So look more into ChainStats Pro if you choose to do so. But the bottom line is this: you can look into things like on ChainStats. You can see what's going to happen in regards to if there's any particular movement. Like, for example, QNT was in the news quite a bit in regards to, hey, Coinbase, what these particular wallets are doing. But for this example, we're going to take a look into, like, for example, XRP. So we're going to pull this up on the screen for you guys. And another thing I was going to mention to you is a lot of news about XRP. So what do we have in regards to some of this? So here's the site. And as I pull it up, you're going to see it firsthand. So this is the 15-minute chart. I don't really do charts a lot, but I'll do it from here. What we see here basically is on-chain. Again, you can see in motion refreshes about roughly every 15 minutes, right? But on the bottom right, the beautiful thing about this is it gives you a heads up of like the buys, the sells in real time, like what's going on with the order books, you name it. But even on the buy volume, we do see there is more buy volume than sell volume in real time if you look at the bottom right corner of your screen. Now, on top of that, overall buyers, we see, for example, there's sellers. Seems as though it's 0.7 million compared to 0.4 million on the 15-minute chart. But whatever the case be, it's tipping more towards the favor of the buyers. If things like this interest you, by all means, check them out. ChainStats Pro, the pricing is literally like right here. And as we pull some of this stuff up, you'll see right now that still for the first 1,000 users, you're going to get a discount of $39 a month. and basically that has been significantly discounted from 49. And like it mentions, all the bells and whistles that you would normally see on things like CMC and whatnot. But again, you can pair this up with things like, you know, on-chain movement with Coinbase, Binance, you name it. You can see it in real time. This is something that I personally use myself, and I've gotten reports from some of you guys like Sebastian that you guys are also using it, which is pretty cool. Again, this is a tool. This is real utility in motion, and if anything, built on the XRPL. So I'm very proud to share with you guys. All right. What we're going to do now is kick it over to what we really have in regards to the announcements. This is one of the main highlights, other than what we're going to share a little bit later in the AMA. But I'm going to pull this up for you guys as well. And basically speaking, let's get into it. So what we have here is from Ripple, okay? Official Ripple, not just like a content creator and so on. There's nothing against that, but whatever the case be, let's share this. What we see here, this is something that, let's face it, a lot of researchers, content creators have given you. Now, I'm going to expand upon this because you guys know that this is something I definitely do. With that said, I do need to mention some of the brief things that are on the surface. So, roughly just a few days ago on the 26th, we saw that Ripple is partnering with BDAX to expand institutional crypto custody in South Korea. BDAX Korea will in fact use Ripple custody to provide secure infrastructure, of course, for RLUSD and XRP, and other crypto assets, of course, supporting institutional adoption, XRPL developer growth, Korea's evolving regulatory landscape. I do agree that this is a major step in advancing the on-chain economy in the region. And if anything, I mean, you kind of see what I did with the Chain Stats Pro, right? But I do think that this is something that sometimes people see these names like BDAX and they just kind of overlook it. Where I'm going with this is I want to share why some of this is important. Shout out to one of the greatest researchers in the business, in my opinion. Smoke, Tokenizer, all those guys really have set themselves apart from the pack. Smoke does it just as good as anybody. He states that Korea financial institutions do have a particular preference for what? XRP. It's well documented. But how so? As we expand into the findings from the one and only Smoke, we see on the next particular page, as we blow it up, that in the highlight from Korean financial institutions PDF, you see that they point out that the financial industry in Korea collectively appears to be poised on the threshold of production. It's noteworthy that regulatory clarification was indicated and causing some hesitation in these firms to move into, of course, production. As we get further down into this, it says when further probed as to which particular digital asset would be adopted, 20% indicated, yeah, you read it right, XRP, while the rest indicated unspecified digital assets other than Ethereum and, of course, Bitcoin. And now those are always going to be dominant players, but it's interesting to see some of the terminology, especially coming out of course, Korea, going from proof of concept to pilot and, of course, to production. For me, everybody, it's the area about production. Let's face it, so many of us, and I've seen you guys, and that's no knock on you, you're so impatient. You're getting fed up. So keep your head up, right? But whatever the case be, you're so fed up because you want like what you saw in 2021. So many people with the when the Lambo got the Lambo. Me personally, I don't want the Lambo. You know, I'm an old school vintage classic car type of guy. You know, for me, it's when Impala or when 48 Ford or when Plymouth Roadrunner or whatever the case be. That's my style, but it's okay. If you're when Lambo, hey, I'm not knocking it. But here's the thing. Again, that patience for production. You know, it'd be something to get out before all this stuff saw mass adoption. That's where it's at. Why just get into this stuff and claim that you're behind the technology and never actually see it come into full fruition? Again, there's positive catalysts, but that's not real utility put into motion. As I pull up more about this company, BDAX, let's take you to their site. You see here it's crafted by blockchain experts, regulated ecosystems, and how they merge innovation and protection into the ultimate solution. Think about that ultimate solution. What would be that ultimate solution? Well, for me, it's understanding the concept of a shared unified ledger. And we've been over this when it comes to the whole thing of RLM participation, regulated settlement network, the RSN. Ripple would definitely take the cake when it comes to settlement. So, as I got further into this, something that got brought to, again, my attention was what was recently in the news from BDAX. Now, here's the things that some people don't catch. And again, that's not me trying to brag or anything like that. It's the second news announcement in regards to what we see on the tab about how BDAX and Worry Bank are forging this whole thing together. Now, you may wonder, Worry Bank? I'm kind of worried about my investments. Well, it's not the same thing. Back in December, BDAX and Worry Bank forged Korea's first digital asset partnership. What's important to understand here, again, is the terminology, collaboration, the whole thing of Worry Bank in itself, because when we get into this, guess what? Search of 101, BDAX has achieved key milestones, including, and yes, you read that right, ISMS certification and a VSAP license. Now, why, again, point some of this out? Well, as we know, when it comes to some of this stuff, ISMS, well, if you were tuned in through the Jasmy segment, you would already know where I'm going with this. So, Korea, Japan, ISMS, we're talking a little bit about Ripple XRP, Jasmy, all this stuff. Trust me, this is going to be one that you're going to be glad that you tuned in for. As I take you to banktrack.org, that's referenced here from Worry Financial Group or Worry Bank, on page 33 of 184, it gets into some real key things. And I'll just jump right to the meat and potatoes of it. As part of the efforts to proactively respond to the enforcement of the 3 laws on data in relation to the movement and disclosure of public information, Worry Bank became the first in the finance sector to acquire ISO 27701 and ISMSP certifications pertaining to privacy protection. Yes, Jasmy really takes the cake in that. Attesting to its strengthened capacity to protect personal information through a world-class information security system. Now, even in their diagram, you can kind of see somewhat the orchestration of what they're talking about in regards to bolstered information, administrative protective measures, and technical security measures. And again, this document, pretty darn recent to say the least. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Now, I know I have pointed out before that Jasmy is ISO 27001 compliant. They actually have an official certification. But I always mentioned there was another particular one that was worth pointing out. Let's pull this up. Instead of me reiterating it and talking once again, just to cite what I already brought to you guys, just in case you're new to this space. It comes from this particular timestamp in the research. How long ago did I share this originally? All the way back in July 19th, 2024. Listen to this for a second. We'll come right back and make sense of it all. I'm telling you flat out, this is one you want to listen to, especially with all the FUD going on. Here we go. You have Neo X Tricks who pointed this out. Guys, the reason why we do this is to give you a blast from the past. He stated, I'm not going to play the whole video because it's like, I don't know, about 10 minutes. But where does this all start? It's understanding the bigger picture. And look at this. This is a great statement. Shout out to Neo. So it all began for Jasmy after these moments. He says, back in late June, Jasmy internationally patented and did this whole thing of being compliant with the European Union's GDPR. This statement, GDPR, is cited in the white paper. Jasmy is the only, and you read that right, guys, Japanese IT technology certified company for ISO 27001 security information for special IoT technology. It features this whole thing of a system for international data protection. But here's your aha moment. Perfectly aligns with directives discussed by Japanese authorities years ago at this event called CeBIT 2017. Okay, so you're more than welcome to watch, obviously, the whole entire deep dive. And then I would suggest that you do that if you're a serious Jasmy investor. If you're just the type of guy you just want the quick, like, I just want the Jasmy price prediction at the end of this year, win Lambo. I don't care about all that extra stuff. Ain't nobody got time for that. Well, sorry. This channel, we try to give you some of the deep dive information. But whatever the case be, look what comes up next. This is why we do some of this stuff, right? So again, back to NeoXTrix. Why cite what he has? Well, basically speaking, here's where it gets good. Jasmy recently obtained, of course, as we know, some of these certifications, but the ISO 27001 standard in itself is mentioned here. Best practices for establishing an information security management ISMS system. 27001 serves as a cornerstone in ensuring compliance with numerous laws, including General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and, of course, network and information systems. It's, of course, world-renowned, world-recognized, and so on. But again, if you're the one in Japan, because some people point out the Dino coins, well, you're the first, as in Jasmy, to be regulatory compliant. You got the thing going on with the FSA, right? We know that that is basically Japan's version of the SEC. But again, they embrace the technology. They don't run away from it. You have Genki Oda, that whole SBI Japan plug, to say the least. And we know when it comes to Genki Oda, you also have BitPoint. He was responsible for those Bitcoin ATMs blanketed across Japan many years ago. So those were touchscreen ATMs. Again, with regulatory clarity moving forward, all they have to do is incorporate an option for the Jasmy personal data locker. And I think all roads are leading to that, just to be honest. I mean, the writing is on the wall when it comes to South Korea, Japan, this new move from what you saw, obviously, mentioned before with Ripple and BDAX. And I want to give a shout out to Dip Metaverse. He pointed out that he felt as though it was inevitable that we'll hear more about this. I think this is the next big update. Why? Finance democracy. A lot of times people forget that Jasmy mentioned this a while back, right? I think that term originally got brought up in 2023 and then it bled over into 2024, but we haven't heard a lot about it lately until now. And again, some people point out, yeah, that's kind of speculative, but again, think about this. Brings us to this next part. Again, why point some of this out? I did mention DAG. It wasn't in the thumbnail because it was just going to be too clunked together. But Constellation, yes, Constellation DAG. Think about this for a moment. Recent news on this one as well. Constellation Network partners with Panasonic Connect and Accelerate program, revolutionizing secure mobile communication. Now, I say this is recent, but in reality, this flew under the radar back last October. Now, we know when it comes to Panasonic, we haven't heard a lot when it comes to the whole thing of them and Jasmy for a while. I'm saying this. I think, indirectly speaking, Jasmy has a thing going on, obviously not just with Panasonic, because they do have a direct partnership, but I'm talking about with Constellation DAG. Now, we know that about Constellation DAG and Quant. We know that Constellation has, obviously, the whole military thing going on, especially with the U.S. Air Force. But this was really eye-opening to me. So hear me out on this as well. As we pull this up, it's the highlight from this video. This video is not that long. It's a minute and a half. And look what it says here. Our focus in regards to Panasonic Connect North America is to connect our customers with technologies that create a better tomorrow. Now, even Panasonic in Kansas has a legitimate thing. Also in Kansas, Oklahoma, Nevada, obviously with Tesla, We talked about this before in other deep dives, but here's another one I think that we should all pay attention to. Watch this, and if you're not convinced after watching this for a bit in regards to IoT, then I don't know what to tell you. Let it speak for itself. Here we go. Okay, so obviously a lot of IoT mentioned there, right? As I take you further into this, I want you guys to see a little bit more about this, and again, why we point out. So even in my own particular notes, okay, it's like this whole thing of ISO 27001, that particular angle. So Ripple itself, if you're not aware of it, because let's face it, so much talk and focus on what everybody else covers, and nothing against these people, right? We do thank those that are part of the the Ripple XRP army, but on the surface, most people point out obviously ISO 222. That always takes the cake. At this point, who doesn't know about ISO 222, right? But are you aware that Ripple itself is ISO 27001 certified for its ISMS? Uh-huh. I'll show you a reference because that's what I do also. This covers its payment and ledger services. This has been confirmed via Ripple's compliance documents. How long ago? Oh, you're citing something from 2018, Max. No, this was updated in 2024. That's right. This shared standard with Panasonic, by the way, and Jasmy suggests a common security language. Oh, okay, Max, you're bringing me back in. I would hope so. This eases the potential future integrations, as you saw, some of those examples of integrations. Though there's no evidence that shows this happening yet, I will enlighten you. Okay? So, for one, I want to point you guys out to something in regards to this. Number one, Panasonic uses, of course, ISO 27001 for ISMS and automotive and IoT divisions. Partnering, of course, with Jasmy for a secure Web3 platform, as verified, not just from Jasmy, but literally from Panasonic Japan website, from the one and only Lil Bidman. Shout out to him. What about Jasmy? Well, we know that Jasmy is certified under ISO 27001 for its blockchain and PDL, of course, directly collaborating with Panasonic. Number three, while there's no direct link, indirect ties, especially for Ripple, through blockchain ecosystems and shared, because we talk about the shared unified ledger of ISO 27001 standards, are definitely plausible. More so. All right, is all you have, Max? It's so there'd be fluff. Well, let's not get too fluffy. So take it to this next part. I want to give a shout out to this guy who follows nobody anymore, right? And stopped being a regular on the show because it covered BSV. He didn't like that, right? But whatever the case be, shout out to Magic Power. I do miss that guy. So what you see here from Magic Power, he cites this, I think, also from either Little Bidman or, some of the other guys in the community. It's the whole thing of what we're talking about. And basically speaking, what do we have? Jasmy Secure Data Exchange integrated into Line Messenger. Line, if you're not aware of it, is widely used not only in Japan but also Taiwan, Thailand. Here's your key aha moment when we get to this. Take notes yourself. Thailand and Indonesia, with over 176 million MAU worldwide, is now considered a super app. Two keywords to remember here, everybody: Thailand and super app. Okay, try to remember that. Now, I'm not going to play. Okay, this is only a minute and 10 seconds. Actually, I will play this because a while back, all the way in 2021, there was the full integration with Line Jasmy Secure Data Exchange application. If you know about Line, Line is probably the biggest deal that you never heard of. Again, please hit the like if you appreciate the deep dive, non-fluff content. Okay, so basically verifying or reminding you about the past. Now here's where it gets somewhat interesting, even that much more interesting. Well, on a basic search, yes, it's from Wikipedia, and from the collegiate level, you can't cite Wikipedia, but you can use it as a source for information. What do we have in regards to Line? I'm telling you flat out, about roughly 15% through the Line page. Back in July 2016, we see some of these particular things in regards to these IPOs, but whatever the case be, should fast forward to this, right? On March 1st, 2021, SoftBank Group affiliate and Yahoo Japan operator Z Holdings completed a major merger with Line Corporation. Under the new structure, A Holdings, a subsidiary of SoftBank, which, by the way, has made a lot of news, right? When we talk about the whole thing of Project Stargate 2025, remember seeing Trump and Massa and how they're proud about doing that whole thing with $500 billion for crying out loud, right? We know about, obviously, Quant with Oracle, verified. All it was verified research. I've been talking about that for 2 years, and we finally saw it solidified, right? Not just me, other people talked about it too. But where the case be, interesting to see this because, again, it's the Jasmy connection. So what we have here is you have Naver Corporation, who owns 65.3% of Z Holdings, which will operate Line and Yahoo Japan. All right, this gets better, everybody. Let's jump to the next tab because, again, I'm kind of on some time constraints, and that's okay. We see Line Pay. Now, why point out Line Pay? Well, Line introduced Line Pay worldwide back in 2014, 11 years ago, almost. The service allows users to request and send money from users in their contact list and make mobile payments in store. The service has since expanded to allow other features such as, look at this, here's another key word for you, don't forget it, offline wire transfers when making purchases and ATM transactions like depositing and withdrawing money. Okay, so offline, wouldn't that match up with Augustine Carson's mission that he has passionately been on this crusade since 2023 about offline payments and the whole thing of the concept of the Finternet? Quant has taken the cake with that, but I have been talking to, I'm blue in the face for probably a good 2 years to everybody, and I still get a lot of criticism about it, but I tell you guys that these paths will they'll come together at some point, right? But it's what's indirectly involved because of the shared unified ledger. This is another great example. Pay attention to this. I'm telling you flat out, you'll be glad that you did. Because, again, unlike the Line services, Line Pay is offered worldwide, of course, through the Line app. Now, I did mention Quant, did I not? Well, guess what? Boom. Boil it, mash it, stick that sucker in a stew once again. You can integrate overledger from Quant, their API, with the Line API. Yeah, you read that right. And, okay, Max, so what? So what? Do they have the ability to sign transactions with the overledger API with the new message as referenced on the Wikipedia? Yeah, they have that. Okay. Do they have, for example, where you could prepare a smart contract? Yes. Can we, for example, do some of the other things for custom developers and so on? That's why I'm citing pipedream.com. This is where this is cited from. So new account event, new message received from Line API, talks to Quant's network overledger, new smart contract event. All right. Well, I kind of hear you, Max. What about executing a signed transaction with the overledger API? Boom. There you go. That's all there. And we can load even that much more. To me, personally, that's a bombshell. That's a major deal moving forward. Now, check this out. How many times did you hear, for example, some of this other terminology? And in the other terminology, we know that we have to look up some of this stuff. So let's jump up to here. All right, towards the top of the page. How many times you see Korea, Japan? Boom, right here. How many times you see, for example, Line was launched in Japan when? 2011 by NHN, Japan, subsidiary, right? Then we see, for example, designed for text messaging and voice call, video calling. So this integration with what you see from here in regards to what is mentioned about, send broadcast message with Line, talks over Ledger, send broadcast messages with Line API. Again, that matches up. Let's jump back to this. Initially designed for text messaging and voice, audio, video calling, it has gradually expanded to become a super app. All right, here's your aha moment. Because when it says providing services, including a digital wallet, we talked about Over Wallet, and we talked about Jasmy with their super wallet. This gets incredibly interesting. I'm telling you, I don't know a lot of people that are doing these type of deep dives, all right? I try to stay humble, but I'm telling you flat out, this is incredibly interesting because when we go to the part about super app, as defined by what it says here, the super app is also known for an everything app. It's a mobile or web application that can provide multiple services, including payment and instant messaging services, effectively becoming an all-encompassing, way of self-contained commerce and communication online platform. It goes on to mention things like Tencent's WeChat in China, so on and so forth. This gets incredibly interesting. Why? Well, Elon Musk has stated a while back about how he stressed the importance of having an app like the Chinese giant WeChat. He said, quote, if done right, X would become half of the global finance system. Right. They want to become the everything app. And again, if you haven't seen it, I'll show you something real quick. I wrote an article a while back. I highly recommend you checking out my full detailed article about Ripple XRP and Quant, X, and the everything app. I break it down from beginning to end of why it matters. It's all there. Real deep research that apparently kind of flew under the radar because, I give some examples, but basically it's there. All right. So you see that orchestration of overledger, Shift4 Shop, which if you research them, they're a big deal. XAI, X, all this stuff with overledger, smart contracts, right? Now check this out. This also gets incredibly interesting. We talked about WeChat, did we not? Well, boil it, mash it, stick it in stew. Once again, we see orchestration of WeChat. You can make an API call to the overledger, prepare a smart contract for deployment for that transaction. Gets even better. Look at this. We kick it down to WeChat official to send that message. Then we kick it up to ISO codes, convert country code to country name, right? Because, okay, what thing are we connecting it to? ISO 222, for example. Okay, what about kicking it down to overledger to sign that transaction? There you go. That's all orchestrated. That's all there. But again, I haven't really seen a lot of people sharing this stuff. All right, before we wrap it up and kick it into our special guest here in a bit, I want to point out some of this. This gets really, really good. Because when we get into some of this stuff, Line Software has this whole thing on a basic search in regards to offline payments. And it refers to the ability to use Line Pay, a payment feature within the Line messaging app to make what? Transactions in a physical store even when there is no internet connection. Does that not line up, no pun intended, with the concept of the Finternet? The answer is yes. All right, I need a little bit more, Max. Well, I'm ahead of you. Because guess what? Some of the benefits is that customers pay convenient with their phone without needing cash, and merchants can offer cashless payment options even in areas with poor internet connectivity. All right. Offline API. Oh my goodness. Like people wonder why behind the scenes, Bank for International Settlements and even, the Bank of England selected Quant. So to enable offline payments, merchants need to utilize Line Pay offline API, which allows communication between the merchant's terminal and the Line app even without a live internet connection. Boom. There you go. And people are sleeping on Quant like you have no idea. All right. Look at this. Making CBDCs work for offline payments. Cited May 7th, 2024, last year. Max, you mentioned Bank for International Settlements and Bank of England. In the tags, you literally see Bank of International Settlements, Bank of England, of course, CBDC. And again, I don't know if people really, really realize the highlights. Because even in the highlights, I'm telling you flat out, guys, ladies, gentlemen, it was if Quant gave us the warning of what was to come ahead for Ripple. I'm telling you flat out. This was mentioned from the Quant network site literally almost a year ago. And what's in the recent news, everybody? The whole thing of Ripple and what? Brazil. This was about a year ago. Look at this. I'll restate it just on this highlight. I want to read the whole page. There are examples of countries trialing offline payment solutions as part of their CBDC projects. In March of 2024, Brazil Central Bank, there you go, announced that they are partnering with technology firm Jazek, excuse me, I'm not pronouncing it right, plus Devrian to build an offline payment solution that will enable them to support users in remote areas without internet access or electricity or after outages or, of course, disasters. There you go. And again, before we close it out, we're almost done here. What do you also see here? February 24th, literally this month. This is the last day of the month, right? So just roughly 4 days ago, Brazil approves XRP ETF as U.S. investors wait and watch. And by the way, every single time we get these ETFs, that's a certain significant amount of XRP being locked up. And I will give a shout out to my brother in Christ, Will Fix, for pointing out some of this. In reality, I think all we have left is about 6 billion XRP that would be out there for circulation after everybody, the lockups. All right. So that's my key thing. That's my key takeaway. That's what I want to share with you guys. I think this is a massive discovery, to say the least, where you see clearly the connections when it comes to XRP, Constellation DAG, Jasmy, and even QNT. So there you have it. If you're new, again, hopefully it earned your like. And if anything, subscribe. Some of you guys that are regulars, you're not subscribed. Please subscribe. I provide you guys free content. If anything, I hope I earn your subscription. So with that said, I want to get back into the comments just for a brief bit and basically read some of this. And then here shortly after we get into the comments, we are going to welcome the one and only the Prairie Banana from, you guys are familiar with it, especially you're part of this community, pTGC and UFO, and this is the now money. Now I want to state this. I talked to Adam of Vibra Finance last night, and I said to myself, for all the people that aren't aware of Hex and just get the fluff of, I heard this about Richard Hart back in the day. Guess what? What I love about these communities and some of these coins and tokens from Hex is the whole idea of ownership renounced. That doesn't matter about what somebody's narrative is about Richard Hart. Because guess what? It's about understanding ownership renounce. You can't just go in there and mess up the whole thing for me, you, and everybody else. So to me, that's a sense of trust. We, in a bit, will talk about some of that now money. To me, the Prairie Banana, and I think he has a special guest with him, I'm not 100% sure on that, will bring you guys some things. And I even took a look at one of his recent videos. And if anything, we might even play that depending on how much time we have left. But he did an excellent job breaking it down. There's a lot of sense of professionalism. As you know, I don't just welcome anybody on here. So I'm glad to bring that to you guys. But anyway, just reading like the chat real quick. So anyway, we're gonna get into, again, welcome some of you guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. And just double checking the other screen, making sure I didn't miss anything. And again, try to keep it polite and respectful. The way I look at it is, if you have any respect for me, you will show respect to this gentleman too. Okay, so just on the surface, I might not be able to highlight everything. I just want to quickly go through some of the comments. I do want to recognize, obviously, the throng that never ends, and that is, if you could only hold one H bar or DAG, which would you choose? Not personally invested into DAG, but it's definitely on my list, especially as of lately, right? But I do hold H bar, so that's an easy one because I already own H bar. H bar, I think, is part of my top 5. The ones I think are going to have the highest potential out there for the long game. And I'm not talking about longing a position. I'm talking about for a long-term investment. Again, none of this is financial advice. It's just research. I want to also welcome, again, I always love seeing Brandon in the comments, XXI Gaming. I also see, for example, Kat, good to see you back. Really appreciate seeing the community show up big for this. On top of that, we have X marks the spot. It says, yeah, Max, live. Yeah, thank you. Prairie Banana, what great timing for the stream. It's no mistake. I think that you typed that when I was sharing that Keep Your Head Up video. And let's see here. Okay, obviously Jim doesn't like the music or whatever case be, that's okay. Goo points out that Tokenizer is a legend. Run, dream, achieve. Oh yeah, it's about pTGC, UFO time. All right, happy Friday, everyone. Angus Scrim, welcome back. Cool Cat in the house. Good to see you, Cool Cat. Fiber Finance, Adam is in the house. Googog in the house. Appreciate you guys being here. Stardog, it's been a long time since I've seen you, man. Good to see you. Cool City, who sings that remix? Believe it or not, that is an AI voice. Isn't that crazy? That's pretty crazy, isn't it? It's getting really good. Well, I'm glad you appreciate it. And whatever the case be, I'll try to put something together maybe by the next few days. I'd like, this would technically be, I think, 10 different things. But yeah, we're going to get into some more of your comments, and then we'll kick it over to Banana here in a bit. Boomer F and Sooners in the house. Welcome. Fam Barajas, welcome back. Happy to talk about DAG. Yeah, absolutely. All right. We also have Matt Riley, Tim Shea in the house, the Mayor of Crypto, the Crypto Commissioner, representing the 589th District of XRP Army, as fellow constituents, Mr. Tim Shea. All right. Prairie Banana says, I love this material, well research. Thank you. I really appreciate that, especially coming from you. All right. Michael, welcome. Crypto Homes, 777, welcome. Stardog says he think Quant might be the one sleeping, right? Absolutely. Beeb's in the house. Corey Beebe, metamorphically and scientifically snipe you. All right. That is funny. Referencing some inspected deck. Yeah, no, I'll try to put it in a format where you guys can find it and get it and so on. All right, I'll try to put like a description of the full album, if you will. I think the full one's gonna be like 10 songs or something like that. I have a music video to go with it. All right, so what we're gonna do now is basically play something real quick for you guys. Again, it's just the last bit I have prepared, and again, right to Prairie Banana here in a bit. This is the last one I have prepared for you guys. I did promise you guys last week that I would give you guys some of that. I said this week would be the Eminem one. I didn't forget because some of you guys already DM me about this, so I didn't forget. This is real quick, and then I swear, Prairie Banana, you won't have to wait no more, and it'll be right before you come on. It'll be right on time for when you come on. So this is going to work out pretty well. But yeah, here we go. Here is the new one. I really hope you guys appreciate this. This one is called Without Me. Pay attention to the visuals on the screen, and again, believe it or not, this was all done with an AI voice. You'll be pretty shocked how great technology is getting. Here we go. That's not the one. What the heck? All right. I know we're having fun. Hold on a second. Let me pull this one, to say the least. So here we go.
and some on your tits and get ready. Cause this shit's about to get heavy. I just settled all my lawsuits. Fuck you, Debbie. Now this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me. Cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me. You enter in and up under your skin like a splinter, the center of attention back for the winter. I'm interesting, the best thing since wrestling. Investing in your kids is investing, testing. Attention please, feel the tension as soon as someone mentions me. Here's my 10 cents, my 2 cents is free. And you sent for me. Now this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me. Cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me. I just get a task and I'll go tit for tat with anybody who's talking this shit and that shit. Chris Kirkpatrick, you get your ass kicked worse than them little Limp Bizkit bastards. And Moby, you can get stopped by Obi, a 36-year-old bald-headed back blow me. You don't know me, you're too old, let go. It's over, nobody listens to techno. Now let's go, just give me the signal. I'll be there with a whole list full of new insults. I've been dope, suspenseful with a pencil ever since Prince turned himself into a symbol. But sometimes the shit just seems everybody only wants to discuss me. So this must mean I'm disgusting, but it's just me, I'm just top scene. Though I'm not the first king of controversy, I am the worst thing since Elvis Presley. To do black music so selfishly and use it to get myself wealthy. There's a concept that works, 20 million other white rappers emerge. But no matter how many fish in the sea, it'd be so empty without me. Now this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me. Cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me. Hey!
What the hell is this song? You love the content? Amazing. All right. I do appreciate that. We won't keep this guy waiting any more further. Hello, Mr. Prairie Banana. Thank you for your patience. And we're right on the dot. How about that? What do you think of that?
Yeah. Well done. Very interesting. Your music cracks me up, dude. It's so funny.
You like the visuals that kind of go with it, right? Anyway.
Yeah, those visuals were good. I forgot
Thank
to
you.
turn my lighting on. Is Zen in there, down there somewhere? The founder? I'm a community member, by the way.
Let me see
guys.
here.
Max
I
was
see-
kind of.
Is it the Gray 369?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking that those were your slides. All right.
Oh, those are. Oh, there he is. Yeah. I do have two. I have a screen and a slide deck down there too.
What's up,
All
guys?
right.
How you guys doing?
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, we're
Thanks
doing
for having
good.
us on, Max. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I did review a video that Prairie Banana released about 4 weeks ago. I'm just gonna give everybody a heads up real quick that you're more than welcome, guys, to watch this video. I would highly recommend it. It's about pTGC and UFO from the start to finish, about earning yield 3 different ways: holding, staking, locking, 100% deflationary, liquidity is burned, and unruggable. I like some of these statements because it instills confidence. But check out Prairie Banana's channel, and it's basically this right here. I'm just going to plug him real quick at the Prairie Banana, and he does lives, as you see here. He has a few scheduled coming up literally tomorrow and the day after, which is really cool. But anyway, I've done enough talking. I'm gonna let you guys, obviously take the show. Guys, please smash the like. Welcome to these guys. Welcome to communities. This is what we do. And glad to have you guys on. Nice to finally meet you both.
Yeah, you too,
Yeah.
man. I've listened to a lot of your content, so it's a pleasure really to meet you in person. I've always just kind of, I felt genuinely, not just for show here, like endeared to you, like, I don't know. how to put it, but I've always
Appreciate
just
that.
kind of, yeah, I've always just kind of appreciated your approach.
Yeah, I saw some of your, on X, like, Proverbs and so on. I realize that song has some language and all, but we're all adults, hopefully for the most part, right? Anyway,
Yeah, Banana, it's nice to see you. Usually me and Banana stream together like every other day, and I've actually haven't streamed with them for, I think, a week and a half now. So
Yes.
I'm going to say good to see you too, Banana. It's been a week and a
Thank you.
half. But Max, I appreciate you taking the time and just giving us the opportunity to hopefully educate you a little bit on pTGC and UFO and what it's about, and also your community as well. It means the world to me. So thank you.
oh, you're very welcome. Just to give you guys a heads up, I was glad to introduce some of these things to some of our long-term holders. A lot of these guys that we have in our community, awesome community, but they wanted some of the XRP, DAG, JASMY, Quant. The guys have an open mind, open ear to some of this stuff. So we're still holding our audience, which I really appreciate that from you guys. Just to give you guys a heads up, we have a total of 413, 296 on X, and 117 on YouTube. So pretty decent crowd to listen to something new that you might not be aware of.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'll start with just kind of my journey, how I ended up here in crypto, how I came about of, being a founder of a project, and how pTGC and UFO came to be. Pretty much outside of crypto, I have a business. I've had the business for over 10 years now. And about 6 years ago, pretty much 5 years into the business started doing decently well, to where I didn't necessarily need to take all the money that the business was making and reinvest it in the business. I could actually take some of that money and invest it into my future, right? With stocks, property, etc. And what I found was, with a lot of the more traditional finance instruments or assets that I could park funds in, the gains that you're making in them aren't that good, especially with inflation and all these things. A lot of people don't even realize that if inflation's at 10% and your asset went up 10%, you pretty much made nothing. And I was kind of finding that being a problem with a lot of, the more traditional ways of investing. So I started going down the rabbit hole of crypto. This is 5 years ago or something. And I got in crypto ultimately to invest. And when I ended up here, I started with pretty much the basic stuff, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum, pretty much was there. And I had someone actually introduce me to Richard Hart's content and Hex. And when I started going down that rabbit hole, I fell in love with DeFi. And I fell in love with the idea of decentralized finance and financial instruments on the blockchain. And as I was going down that rabbit hole, I was passionate about Hex as a product. I started kind of looking throughout the rest of crypto, because I had a lot of boxes I was looking to check as far as like an end-all be-all product I was looking for. And as I started looking throughout the rest of crypto, what I was actually finding is nothing is really financial instruments. None of them are really good investments, and it's just a big casino. And for me, I didn't come to blockchain, I didn't come to crypto to gamble. I came here to actually invest. So what I actually started to do was I started studying hundreds of projects on the blockchain, also started studying in real life assets that have value, and other things in life, like stocks, indexes, the things in the world that actually hold the most value. So a lot of people don't realize one of the biggest sectors in the market is the financial sector. And then you can look into that financial sector and figure out in the financial sector which sections actually hold the most value, right? Like for an example, indexes hold a ton of value. And I was paying attention to not only these things in the real world and where a lot of value was, also paying attention to what made a bunch of products on blockchain successful, what also made them fail, what made them successful for a time. Eventually they die, because the honest truth, 99% of things do die on blockchain. So I was trying to pick and really find everything that made things succeed and what made them feel, and build an end-all be-all product here on the blockchain. Hence where I'm at with pTGC and UFO. After I was doing all this research, there was still one thing that I was constantly running into. And with most items, if you can solve supply and demand, you can solve price, and you can ultimately manipulate the price wherever you want if you can control supply and demand. Controlling the supply in blockchain is actually very, very easy. You can just write that within code. But the hardest thing with crypto is controlling the demand. And this is where everything falls short because it's such a short attention span space. There's literally, it's getting worse, right? With like pump.tire or pump.fun and stuff like that, with the new meme coin coming out literally every minute. It's really, really hard to keep the demand and keep the attention of the user. And I was still struggling with figuring out how to solve this demand side. And ultimately, long story short, I actually discovered a way to solve demand in a mechanical fashion. So instead of being reliant on human interaction to be the demand of your product, I actually found a way to mechanically drive demand to your product via a liquidity web, as I call it. And it makes it to where your system's utility is actually written within mechanics of the system. So you don't actually need humans to interact with your code for price to go up. You just need the market to do what the market does. So what the market does is it goes up and down. Even in a bull market like we kind of are in right now, you'll have weeks where the market goes down. But what you can guarantee is the market moves up and down. So what we found a way is to use the market moving up and down to generate revenue and make that revenue go back into the project and then buy and burn, add LP, and pay APY to our users with actually no human interaction needed. And then, of course, due to this idea and the fact that it isn't reliant on humans, it also attracts humans and they get in and they interact. And as they enter in, when they enter in with their value gets spread amongst a large liquidity web. So in a standard token, your value would then just sit in a one liquidity pool usually, or two liquidity pools. And that's great. That value's there for users to enter in and out, but that value isn't working for you. And everyone knows in the real world, if you run across a decent amount of value, the best thing you can do with that value is find a way to put that value to work. So what we actually did was we made it to where whenever someone enters into our system in a decentralized manner, their value gets put into our liquidity web just by buying the token, and that value is instantly working for them. And it's not only working for them as far as APY and assisting with price appreciation, it's also working for everyone else who's helping to hold the price up as well, creating a symbiotic relationship with the user and the price of the token. I know that was a lot to take in, but that's kind of my spiel on how it came about and what it is.
That sounds terrific. Listen, guys, I want to tell you guys something. Just a disclaimer. I was on the phone with Adam of Vibrant Finance last night, and I said, just on the surface, without getting even more deeper into this, which I will, I said what really impressed me about this is it reminds me of Clearpool. And what I mean by that is, think about what he just mentioned. If you're into Clearpool, this all sounds very, very familiar. Just to also give you guys a disclaimer, that was the first cryptocurrency project I ever covered on this channel all the way back in December of 2021. I did a 25x on that on my last bag. So when I hear these things about automatic, disbursement of the rewards and, providing a solution, let's face it, for decentralized finance and whatnot moving forward, it's like, yeah, you know what? This does sound very familiar. I like what you're sharing with us and our community. So again, I just wanted to kind of inject that for just a brief moment, just to kind of give people a heads up that, I feel as though there's something solid here and I wouldn't waste people's times with it. But anyway, by all means, continue, or Prairie Banana, with what you have to share.
I guess I'd like to get an understanding from you, Max, like where you're at with your understanding of pTGC and UFO. Like, what are these tokens to you? What's your understanding of how they work?
Well, from what I gather so far is, like I mentioned to Adam, it seems as though that you guys are like the now money. There's a sense of being able to, I guess you could say, like, what's a good way of mention this, like being able to not just hold this, because we hold plenty of the blue chips, right? I wanted to get into something that was a little bit different. In my community, a lot of people mention, can you talk about some of like, where we can have at least something now where it's not holding it to the end of the bull market or going into the bear market, and where we could earn something now. So even on the surface, being able to hold stake, of course, and deflationary. You're not just like partially deflationary, 100% deflationary. I don't know if you have hyper deflationary or hyper burns, but some of these things definitely kind of caught my attention. Another thing caught my attention just on the surface was a more efficient version of Ethereum, obviously with Pulse Chain, more of a tweaked up version that just makes more sense compared to slow moving Ethereum. But by all means, I want you to share what you have. I saw that you have at least 2 things to add to the stage. I think you have some slides. I think you have a presentation. You also have a chart.
Yes, and we can get into those. But
Okay.
then I'll go ahead and address the first thing that you brought up, which was your users are looking for something that's more than just a buy and hold token. And I think what they're asking for is, did you guys disappear? I think what they're asking for is like a token that will pay them yield. And that's what I appreciate about the Grace currencies is you don't just hold you're not just holding a token and hoping for number go up, but these tokens actually pay you passive income. And in pTGC, you can get paid 3 different ways. Just by holding the token, and you'll get what are called reflections. And then you can stake the token if you wish to earn even more. And then you can go a step further if you want to and lock the tokens and earn even more. And with UFO, same thing except for the staking and locking. In holding UFO, you earn reflections, and then you have the option to LP your UFO with, I think it's 6 different RH tickers to earn pulse. Zen?
Yeah, nobody disappeared. It's just something I do when somebody talks to put some emphasis on you. It zooms in on you. So,
okay.
Don't worry, Banana. We're still here with you. Yeah. So one thing that, like, it sounds like a part of your community is XRP community and possibly some other blockchains, right? So some of these users might not be here or on Pulse Chain, or maybe they're a portion of their portfolio. It's very small on Pulse Chain. So one thing that's unique about the pTGC and UFO ecosystem is, especially if you're someone who's not like really, really deep into a specific ecosystem and you're looking throughout, let's say 5 different blockchains, right? You're kind of just dancing around and you have home in multiple places. What's unique about pTGC is, due to the fact that we have a liquidity web, our token is actually connected to most of the blue chips on chain. So what you're holding is a decentralized index of all of the blue chips on chain by just holding one token. And you're not only getting the gains or losses, right? Like we hope gains here in the future, but you're getting the average of all of their moves by just holding this token, plus a buy and burn based on their volatility and their volume. So as all the tokens around us, all the blue chips on Pulse Chain move around, they create price differences. And when they create price differences, there becomes a market making ability where they can take advantage of a difference in price. The market maker will come in, and when the market maker comes in, it has to pay the fee to the system. And then the fee to the system goes to a buy and burn of pTGC and UFO. So the nice thing about it, and this is where I'm getting, is you can come to Pulse Chain if it's not like a place you are. You can come into Pulse Chain, and by just holding pTGC and UFO, you can hold all of the main tickers on chain. So you're holding pretty much an index of what really matters on chain. On top of that, the token is hyper deflationary and pays you APY just for holding. So you're getting a lot of what you want in the other assets, plus a few little additions on top of it, or cherries on top.
yeah, it sounds very impressive to say the least. And I realize that you're not getting necessarily the physical asset, but we see so many things in this space where it's mirrored. So I look at like I think Adam mentioned this fiber finance. It's like you're getting some of the wrap versions, but the wrap version is literally a mirror of the native asset. I mean, there's like wrap Bitcoin. When we look at the price of that, that's supposed to be a mirror of that. Yes, there's exceptions, obviously, like things that had horrible volatility or extreme crashes like Luna Classic, and there's I don't think that's the best example, but wherever the case be, I've seen things like Maker. I've seen some other blue chips that are part of this mix, obviously. I think we also saw Aave. I saw a huge list of what you guys have, and I thought that was very impressive, to say the least.
Yeah, so currently I think right now between our liquidity webs, they're, I believe, equaling around $30 million in liquidity. And if you compare our market cap to liquidity ratio against some of the other top assets on not Pulse Chain, but all blockchains, we have some of the best ratios. But what is also very important about this idea is Pulse Chain, as far as a blockchain, is still in its infancy stages. Like, it's still very, very discounted. It hasn't done hundreds of X's or thousands of X's like some of these other blockchains that are built out there. So what I like to compare it to is ultimately like being in a city, like having a store built in a city before that city gets adoption, before it's booming, right? If you can build the store in the city before the adoption, then the people come and your city's already done and flourishing and thriving before it even gets there. Where this benefits the pTGC and UFO ecosystem is we're already doing tons of X's, right? We can do hundreds of X's on top of the blockchain. For an example, let's say in the next year, we do a 50X against the blockchain. And now Pulse Chain alone just does a 10X. Well, now you're able to multiply these two together. So a lot of people don't realize this. I call it the X multiplier, and I haven't actually heard a lot of people talk about this theory besides myself and a few select people. I call it the X multiplier. In a sustainable system, and you have a token that can do X's against the blockchain, you get to multiply those X's by the X's the blockchain does. So in our situation with the blockchain that has yet to do any X's, you have maximum potential for your X multiplier. But if you're built on a blockchain that's already done, let's say a 50X or 100X, you didn't actually get to realize those gains. Those gains have already came and left. So most likely, you're at the ending stages of an S curve. Where we get to take advantage is we're at the beginning stages of an S curve. So we don't only get the X's of our own token, but we get the X's of the blockchain as well. So for going back to my example, let's say we do a 50X and then the blockchain comes and does a 10X. Well, that's a 500X for the users today. And that's not a 500X on a meme coin with lack of liquidity. The interesting thing about this is when the blockchain starts to do X's, the liquidity will rise evenly. So if you think about, for an example, just let's say the blockchain just does a 10X and we do no X's. Well, the liquidity would rise evenly. So what our $30 million liquidity web is today would be a $300 million liquidity web when that 10X happens, which would then put us in ultimately an upper group of tokens, which not a lot of tokens fall under. Like literally some of the biggest tokens on chain don't have this much liquidity. And we can have this much liquidity just with the system we already have with just a simple 10X of the blockchain. And what's unique about our liquidity is in a standard protocol, the liquidity is just there to enter and out of, and it gives value to that specific token. We hit both these categories, but more. We actually use this liquidity to generate revenue for our system. So the bigger that our liquidity gets, the more revenue it generates, because the market makers now need to move more money to fix liquidity pools, which makes it to where our system will start growing like a snowball effect. The benefit of learning about something early is you're getting in technically before the snowball effect happens. But what the value of the system is today is going to be completely different than when that system actually turns on, when the blockchain actually starts going up, when volume on chain actually starts to pick up. So even though $30 million liquidity web is nice, right? That's better than 99% of the stuff out there. We still consider this micro compared to where we're going in the future.
Well said. I'm glad that you share that breakdown of that. And to me, it's apparent that you guys are doing a lot of leveraging of, you know, some of the other technologies, whether it is your Aves, whether it is your makers, or whatever else is on that impressive list that you guys have. I was going to say, Prairie Banana, I saw that you have in the backstage or whatever, you got some things you want to share. I think you got about 3 different things. Is there anything you want me to add right now?
Let's, yeah, if you could bring up that screen, that one that I just changed. Okay, this is our LP pairs, and I want to answer Run Dream's question also too in the chat, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So this is pTGC. If you go to secretobank.com, this is free for everybody. Secretobank.com, you can see the pairings for pTGC, and then I have UFO right here. And then you can select by liquidity, and you can see we have a $4.5 million pairing with UFO, pTGC does, a $2 million pairing with PLS, $1 million with PulseX, and so on, for a total of, about $12 million. And here's the volume for today. It has increased since the news from this afternoon. And then you can go and look at UFO.
Is this refreshed, Banana?
I haven't refreshed it. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, refresh it real quick before
I've been saving it. So what we're going to do? Yeah, there we go. So this is the volume at about 2 hours ago. Let's see what it is now. It was about 410 before the news came out. So we're going to refresh it and see what the volume is.
And ultimately, this is a pretty good example of how our system operates. Is some decent news came out for Pulse Chain, right? A dismissal for RH in the last couple hours. And that's going to turn on our system, because when there's volume and volatility on chain, that's what our system thrives on, and we generate revenue off of that. And as other tickers we're connected to moves up and down, we use that movement to bring back to our token. So due to other things moving around, our price is going to appreciate, which I'm sure Banana has a chart that he'll show that will show that price appreciation in the last couple hours. But also, you'll be able to see just in that last couple hours, our volume has increased as well, which means our value generated has increased. And then you'll also see our liquidity has increased due to the things we're connected to increasing as well, making it so our system is actually backed by more revenue. And this is something of just 2 hours, right? Keep going, Banana.
Okay, thanks. So pTGC, the volume increased by about 30%. UFO volume increased by it's looking like about a 3 to 4x just in the last couple of hours.
And just so people understand, the reason why UFOs increase so massively is UFO is a token. It's a one of its kind design that has a whole farm built into a singular deflationary token. So we built a whole farm into this token. I've never seen it be done before. It's a brand new idea. So UFO, when things around it move, it just turns that thing on like crazy. And I'm sure that the price is up super high on UFO today because of assets it's connected to turning on. Its volume obviously increased due to this. Its liquidity alone's at 20 million just today due to this increase.
Yeah, UFO is up 22% in the last 24 hours. pTGC 24%. PLS up about 18%. So this is
that refreshed also?
Well, this is Deck Screener, so
Okay.
I think it refreshes automatically. And what we're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, is the pTGC WPLS chart, and I have it on the monthly. And what I'm going to highlight to you is and this is in USD. You're looking at the chart in USD, and you can see it's a pretty beautiful chart in USD terms itself. But what
I would agree with that.
what you can do with this chart, and some people don't know this, I learned it by being in this ecosystem. You can take and flip this chart to where you can see PTDC and WPLS terms. In other words, the ratio. And we're going to do that. And you can see where is the ratio? I thought, yeah, here's the ratio over here. And you can see it. It costs 19 PLS per PTDC. Now, bear in mind that back in August 26th, we hit 1-to-1. So in August, you can get 1 PTDC for every WPLS, and now it costs 19. Then let's look at this chart in WPLS terms. And it's like equally attractive, right?
Good grief. My goodness.
Let's look at it on the weekly. And so what you're seeing here is the movement of PTDC against WPLS. So this is a token that's riding on the Pulse network, and it has consistently, since it was launched, I think 15, 16 months ago, October 2023, consistently moved up against the layer 1. So technically speaking, if you had swapped PLS into PTDC on August 26th of last year, you'd be up 20x, literally. So this token, PTDC and UFO, they're like an index of the most promising tickers on the Pulse chain network. Their bondings are with Hex, Pulse, PulseX, PDI, Inc., Teddy Bear. And if you look at a fun experiment for you guys to do is go into your DEX screener or your DEX tools and do the same thing that I did versus WPLS. Only look at PTDC versus Teddy Bear, PTDC versus Inc. Do the same thing. Click on the ratio and see how these, not just PTDC, but UFO also have been moving up against the tokens that they're bonded with. It's very impressive.
It does seem as though it's very impressive. Like, another thing that stood out for me is you guys have a massive amount of pairings. I mean, even if we weren't talking about some of this DeFi here, let's face it, even some of the biggest blue chips out there, I always preach this to our community that you need to have lots of pairings, and plain as day, you clearly see that. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, agreed. So let's answer
real quick on that too.
Right.
And it's not little amounts. Like with UFO alone, I believe we control 30, or at least with PTDC and UFO together, we control, I believe, 30% of all the Hex liquidity on chain.
That's a big deal.
Which is obviously one of the main tickers of the chain, because it's Richard Hart's chain, and obviously Hex is Richard Hart's store of value on chain.
Mm-hmm. Pulse chain, unless I'm mistaken, was created for Hex, right?
Yeah.
So I want to answer Run Dream Achieves question. He says, I know how to buy, swap, get over to Pulse chain, but can you guys perhaps mention how those on this live stream can buy PTDC and the steps? So you would go to PulseX, connect your wallet. Of course, you want to set your slippage. Okay, if you're swapping into PTDC, you will set your slippage to 6%. If you're swapping into UFO, you want to set it to 7%, because these are fee-on tokens. And perhaps then we can talk about what the purpose of the fees are and how the fees get distributed. So you'd set your slippage and then transact, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and maybe just show them what the link is for the bridge in case there's someone who isn't currently on Pulse chain and they need the link to going from Ethereum to Pulse chain.
Sure, good call. So you click on Pulse chain bridge right here, and I believe I haven't bridged in a while, but I think you click right here too, bridge.mypinata.cloud, and from what I understand, there is no fee to cross over the bridge. And you do the same thing, connect your wallet and go over the bridge. At a time like this, it might take 30 minutes to an hour for the transaction, but it is free. And there are other ways to get Pulse Chain, like Change Now is one. I think you can use a debit card. You get your Pulse sent straight to your wallet from Change Now. Yeah, Zen, do you want to talk about the fee distribution?
Yeah. So how I kind of looked at the fees is we wanted to make sure the fees were large enough to where when a market maker goes to take action on one of these market making events that we generate revenue off of, that it's actually worth it for us, right? Like a lot of people don't realize that when tokens have volume and volatility, or when the markets have volume and volatility, that doesn't actually help the token or the holders of the token. Who that actually helps is exchanges and the people providing the liquidity themselves. So a lot of people get bullish about volume this, volume that, but really it doesn't help the protocol usually at all. Actually, half the time that volume is from the price going down. So what we did was we tokenized that volume and made it to where when the market is moving up and moving down, when a threshold is met, the market makers do fix the prices. This happens on every single chain. This even happens within centralized exchanges even. But they have to increase the value of the token. They have to increase the holdings of the person holding the tokens as well, the people who support the price. And this APY that's being paid to these people isn't coming from inflation. The only way they get paid these additional tokens is from a buy out of the existing liquidity pools. So that APY that's actually being paid to them is also appreciating the price of the token and helping it become more sustainable as well. But back to the fee distribution, is the fees have all been designed to where 100% of the fees are going back to supporting the protocol. With pTGC, it's a very simple design as far as you hold and you can stake. And the staking is single-sided, and the tokens remain in your wallet at all times. So you'll see a lot of other protocols out there take custody of your tokens to pay you an APY. This is against our ethical morals and how things should be, is you should always keep custody of your own tokens. For an example, a lot of times people on centralized exchanges will give up their tokens to earn an APY within that centralized exchange. Well, then that centralized exchange uses that value to make money with a promised APY, but if they lose the money, the users never get those tokens back. So you should never give up custody of your tokens for an APY. It's picking up pennies in front of freight trains. So what we do is we keep all the tokens in the people's wallets. This is the safest place where they could be. The smart contract can't be hacked and takes hundreds of people's revenue. It's all within their keys. But they are using, since how the system works with the liquidity web, it's actually still able to give them a competitive APY. And when you're staking, you're earning a portion of the fees on transaction. When you're holding, you're earning a portion of the fees. If you're staked, you earn both, right? It's not one or the other. And then a portion of the fee goes to an automatic buy and burn. A portion of the fee goes to an automatic liquidity add. And then a portion of the fee goes to a DAO, where all the stakers within the protocol actually get to decide how those funds are spent and how they can ever evolve the system of the token. So the reason why we included a DAO in our system is you'll see a lot of products fail because they can't evolve with the industry around them. So a lot of projects are locked within code, right? So as the crypto industry evolves, they can't evolve with the crypto industry, ultimately making so the industry leaves them behind. How our system operates, and Banana gave the best description of this, is most tokens are a train on a track. They can only go that direction. But what this DAO gives our system the ability to do, to be a boat on the water. We can turn, we can float, we can go back and forth, forward and back, right, left. We can actually go which fits our community best, and we can adapt with the crypto sphere around us. The honest truth is, no one knows what the narrative, what crypto is going to be like 4 years from now. But with our DAO, our community can constantly adjust and adapt to the world evolving around us, making it so we're always on the cutting edge of the industry as we move forward, and we can adapt with everything around us. And As of right now, in the past, what this system has been doing is tons of buy and burns and LPS, because this is what the community feels is the best for us at this moment. You know, that could be changed by the community in the future. If we're good there, or you can show what's been generated in the last 24 hours, Banana, I see you have this page up.
Yep. So let's start with UFO since I'm already there. So in the last 24 hours, the total fees collected.
Hold on. Go to pTGC because I just did pTGC.
Okay.
We'll go to UFO next.
Okay. Fees collected in the last 24 hours, and this is from the 5% transaction fee that everybody pays, is $32,167. So when you transact with pTGC, whether it's a user or a bot, and Zen was talking about the secret sauce for this buyer that everybody was trying to create this demand that the bots are creating a demand. Okay, the AMM bots. And so a lot of that fee is being generated by AMM bots. Let's just call it what it is. But as soon as you transact in pTGC, you're literally like investing in the system. You're not just gaining monetary value, but you're investing in a system, because some of your fee is going to be included in this $32,167. And here's where it goes. Here is where it has went in the last 24 hours. $3,216 to burn the token, deflating the supply, increasing your portion of the supply, right? 3,216 added to liquidity, nearly $13,000 sent to the DAO. And as Zen just said, the DAO uses that it can burn tokens, which we just did this week. It can LP, it can make new pairs, it can pivot on a dime, like it did a few weeks ago, making an LP with, what was the name of that token, Zen? The wanted token or most token. And $6,400 was sent to all the holders in the form of reflection. $6,400 sent to stakers, of course, proportional to your share of the supply. Does that make sense, Max?
Yeah, it does. Speaking of the supply, what would be the max supply on this? I don't know if you guys mentioned that earlier.
That started at 333 million, and so on. And we have burned nearly 12% of that so far. And
as far as the projects when it originally started,
October 11th, 2023.
Well, that's not too shabby to say the least. Then,
I don't know what the
that's a big. I would say that's a big dent considering if you compare it to other projects, right? Let's just be real about that.
Sure.
If you guys don't mind, just real quick, what I saw. I did want you guys to talk about this for a brief bit. If I don't know if it's you, Prairie Banana, or hopefully I could call you Gray. Is it okay? Call you Gray. I don't know if you have another name you go by.
I go by like 4 names. People. So
what one do you prefer?
Pick one. Gray's fine.
Okay. So if you could go a little bit further down, I think it's Prairie Banana, where it says UFO token analysis. So on the burn tracker, for example, so earlier I saw, I guess it was a little bit further ahead. This is fine. But you had 1% to stakers, 1% to the actual, I guess you could say, what was being burned. And it added up to about 6%. I was wondering if you could just briefly explain a little bit more, elaborate a little bit more of the significance on that. I think it was here we go. Yeah, that fee allocation for 24 hours. So 3% rewarded to UFO liquidity pool providers, 1% to buy and burn UFO, and then that 1% rewarded to UFO holders, and of course 1% utilized to buy and burn the pTGC tokens. If you could just talk about that briefly.
Yeah, I'll go on it. So previously we talked about the fee system of pTGC. This is the fee system of UFO. So UFO is a token with a farm built into the token. So half of all the fees collected by UFO go to the users who are farming with their UFO tokens. So right off the bat, you'll see that, and I can't see the numbers because I'm on my phone, but what's the total value generated by UFO, Banana?
29,000.
Okay, so half of 29,000 is instantly going to go to the people who are actually farming with the UFO token, which is 14,000 roughly, I'm guessing.
Yes.
So $14,000 gets paid out to all the people who are farming with their UFO tokens. And the reason why such a big allocation is going to these users is because these users are actually the ones putting up the value to give this whole entire system that makes this system work. So with this liquidity that all the users are putting up, that's what's not only backing the value of the project, but that's what's giving the project the ability to constantly buy and burn itself. So just in the last 24 hours, the value that the community has put forward has bought and burned, what is it, like $4,000 or?
$4,800.
Okay, $4,800 of UFO itself, but also it's buying and burning pTGC at the same time. So this whole entire farm is actually buying and burning pTGC token as well. So $4,800 from the farm is making pTGC more sustainable for longevity and price appreciation as well. And then also there's $4,800 going to the people who are just holding UFO. So with UFO token, you don't have to LP, because the honest truth is a lot of people don't like to LP. There's impermanent loss involved. That's one of the biggest reasons why, right? So we actually made it to where the bigger players within UFO who are willing to provide LP, they are being rewarded generously, but there is impermanent loss, and you have to take that into consideration. But if you just want to be a holder of the token, because it's a hyper deflationary token and you can earn APY just for holding it, and all the people who are farming are actually the ones working for you and paying you for holding up the price as well. So then that makes up the 6% fee on every transaction.
Yeah, I remember a while back. It was, I don't know, I would say 2022. One of the things that stood out was, the whole idea of, like, even with Hex, right? It was like the longer you locked up your Hex, it seemed as though you would, make a more of a, I guess you could say, of a yield in the long term. To me, this also, obviously, the whole thing with Pulse Chain and whatnot seems similar, incentivizing people, or literally hodling, if you want to call it that. I was wondering if you guys can get a little bit more into that perspective, because I mean, let's face it. I mean, I think it's awesome that you guys are incentivizing the whole concept of like the farming, but some people just want to, they really believe in it and they just want to, hold a little bit longer. Yeah, we were talking about, quote unquote, that now money. Clearly, we see that, but just a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can give you a little bit of backstory, actually. So the person who onboarded me to the Richard Hart ecosystem, who got me down this rabbit hole of DeFi, pretty much started this obsession, is someone who staked out a decent amount of their Hex long term, right? And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is the only thing that matters and what makes a token successful is a community buying and holding. If you don't have anyone willing to buy and hold, the price is never going to go up for the most part. You have to have people that have conviction and believe in the system long term. This is built into Hex very, very well, right? Like, you earn an APY by locking out your stuff multiple years, months. The more you lock and the longer you lock, the more you get. This is built into the system. But so what I witnessed first time, and this, I actually got to witness this in the design of pTGC, is he actually didn't have a bunch of liquid funds, and ultimately all his net worth was locked within Hex. And what that actually created was a situation where, he wanted to maybe access a portion of these funds, but he wasn't able to. And what I actually put into the pTGC and UFO system was, even if you stake or even if you lock your pTGC, your rewards are claimable at any time. So the APY that you're receiving is actually accessible whenever you want it. You don't need to wait to fulfill a stake or a lock to access your APY. And on top of that, our staking, there is no time locks. Locking is just another step. You can go further to earn additional APY if you choose. But that is one thing that's really different about our system comparatively to a lot of other staking platforms out there, is a lot of other platforms don't let you access your yield until you finish your stake. But our system, we don't want to push people out of our system just because they want their yield. We want them to feel comfortable here and be able to access their yield when they want it, ultimately.
And you
Right.
can see,
Oh, go ahead.
well, okay, as you can see on the screen, the holding right here is this behind this tab is the holding, the reflections, and here is where you can see your staking rewards. The reflections go straight into your wallet. Is how it basically works. But you need to claim the staking rewards, which you can do by clicking the claim button, pay the modest gas fee, and they go straight to your wallet. And then down here is the locking section. And what is unique, as Zen said about this ecosystem, is that your rewards are liquid. You just got to go in and claim them. And then you can add them on top of your principal to where you're earning more. You're compounding your yield into more principal so you can earn more yield.
Okay, and I think another thing was, so yeah, I've been involved in many projects where even some of the I would consider more, they're not quite blue chips, but they're close to it, to say the least.
Sure.
Where you lock them up for so long. For example, 90 days was a common thing, and that
Okay.
was the time that you can redeem what you had staked. What you guys are mentioning is basically you can do it at any time, if I'm gathering it right. But wouldn't there will at least be a fee, right?
Well, you'll pay the gas fee, of course, to transact. There is no fee to claim your tokens if they're staked. There would be a fee to withdraw your tokens, and you can withdraw however much you want. As you can see here, like if you wanted to withdraw 1,000 tokens, you could do that. It's not taking it. Let me click on the 25%. Oh, there's nothing. There's nothing in that to transact. But you can, like on my other wallets, you can withdraw as much as you want, and then you're just going to pay a 1% penalty, which goes to the other stakers. And we speculate that the time to ROI your 1%, it all depends on price and volume. But we kind of speculate it's relatively short, maybe 1 or 2 months. We haven't just done an in-depth study on it yet.
The cool thing is, to me, that makes sense. I mean, if you guys were talking about, like, for example, was it 25x earlier or something like that? So you have the guy, let's say he stakes it for, I don't know, let's say 90 days, okay? And then let's say he did do 10x.
Real quick, Max. Just so in our system, we're different than others. When you stake, there is no time constraints. It's only a 1% fee when you leave. You can stay for 1 day. You can stay for 5 years. It's still a 1% fee when you leave. You can go a step further and decide to lock your stake as well. That's minimally 90 days up to 10 years.
And that's down here.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean,
So-
that to me, that's more than reasonable. It's not like you guys are 1%. I mean, the point I was trying to make is I've seen a lot of examples where you lock it up for 90 days, then you get whatever amount that you earn off that yield, your rewards and so on. But of course, it's locked up. You can't come in early. I like the idea that you could come in early, and let's say, for example, like back to Banana was mentioned. Let's say it was before the 90 days. I don't know. Let's say it was a week, where the case be. The market blasted off and so on. You made, I don't know, 2, 5, 10x, where the case be. Well, you're looking at, like, from the perspective, yeah, I'm not, I originally had it for 90 days, but you're already way up. So with that fee of 1%, I mean, in reality, you're still way up. That's the point I'm trying to make. I think that's a pretty cool thing to point out.
Sure. And not only can you be way up, but like as you accumulate tokens for reflections and staking and locking rewards, like you just said, if the token that you earned 6 months ago and you let them sit there, have done a whatever number of X's, well, it just obviously increased the value of those tokens. So you pile up tokens, and as they pile up, in theory, as we go up into this bull cycle, they become more valuable.
Yeah, no, I get it. You guys totally got me on that. So very cool to share that. I know that you mentioned Prairie Banana, that you had, I think, some slides that you want to show in regards to, because I see that tab up above about, I don't know if I see it on the screen, but earlier it did mention the moon math.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
go ahead. I don't know if I need to add that to the screen.
I'd like to, if we can, just show the UFO, how to LP with the UFO, because we looked at pTGC. It might be fair to your
Is it this?
audience. If you wouldn't mind, go back to the previous screen.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah,
Let's just show UFO real quick to be fair to the, because
Sure.
they're like other tokens. One token
Right.
might get jealous over the other one. I'm just kidding, but so
Okay.
here is the UFO tab, and you'll see how many UFO is earned for this wallet right here. And here's all the different pairings that you can do and the pending rewards down here. You can claim, if you have multiple pairings, you can claim them all by clicking this button. And of course, the rewards for LPing are in Pulse. Rewards for holding, the reflections, are in UFO. Okay. Now, do you have any questions on that?
No, not currently. A lot of times, when I'm doing this with, some of this stuff, somewhat new, it's like, yeah, I don't have anything right now. Then I go back on a replay. I'm like, oh, I have tons of questions. I should have asked it, but part of being human, right? Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Before you switch slides, because
Sure.
the moon math calculator is on this tab, let's just go there next. And that is look into ptdc.com. We'll just do one tab on here, Zen, if that works for you. Let's look at the moon math calculator. And what this is going to do is going to show you what pTGC would do if Pulse does a number of X's. And we're going to include in there an X factor, which Zen just talked about a few minutes ago, which is how much pTGC moves up against WPLS. And like I said, since August, it's been about a 20x. We saw it on Deck Screener. We're going to put in I want to keep it really modest. Like, let's put an X factor of 5. So I'm not going to say pTGC is moving up another 20x. We'll just keep it at 5x, because you could be surprised how many X's pTGC could do at a 5x. And then let's put in 100x for WPLS, which, mind you, from today's price would only be about a 50x from sacrifice price. So we'll do 100x, and spoiler alert, that'll be a 5. You're multiplying the 100 times 500, and that's going to be a 500x. I mean, the 100 times 500x.
Wow, that's incredible.
Which would be a 41 cent pTGC.
Yeah. So real quick on this idea. So a lot of, like, I'm sure you've interviewed tons of people, or, have looked at tons of projects, and a lot of them talk about, like, hey, like, we want to do 100x or 1000x, right? They like shoot out these goals. But the sad truth is a lot of people actually don't understand how to mechanically do this in the easiest fashion. They're just shooting numbers out there and hoping they get humans to buy their product. Where we actually try to, dissect every problem and figure out the easiest solution. So by using this X multiplier, we can actually do crazy amounts of X's with actually very little X's on our specific token, or very little specific X's on our blockchain, right? The only thing that you really need to solve is the idea of sustainability, longevity, and continuous demand. Once you can solve the sustainability side of it, as you chug up against the blockchain, if it's just a 5x, right, that's pretty modest. But if that blockchain comes in and does a 10x with you, you just did a 50x. And the honest truth is a 50x can actually change a lot of people's life. And what's nice about this system is a lot of other tokens, right? If someone does a 50x or 100x, well, they're happy, but there's nothing within that system that they can do with that value. They actually usually take that value and go bring it somewhere else that they can earn an APY off of that value. So if you look at any project, you have to ask yourself, is there APY built into this product? Because the honest truth is, after they do the X's, they're going to go take that value and go earn APY off of it, right? So that's why within this system, I like to say the saying is we come for the X's, but we stay for the APY. Because users can actually come here, hold a sustainable system that has mechanical operations designed to keep pushing the price up. Ultimately, a lot of the things a lot of people are asking for. But then after you do the X's, it's got the liquidity to actually back those X's. So our system will have some of the biggest liquidity pools in all of crypto, not just Pulse Chain, but all of blockchain. And then on top of that, the users who do love this product and support this product can just sit at the top and earn APY for supporting the system, making it so new users can come in later on and play, and it can actually be safe and sustainable. And the people who have been here longer are being rewarded for doing so.
Okay,
People have
that's
gone that depth into it and actually asked yourself, like, what will make this thing last multiple cycles? What will support this system for the long term? If you give someone a bunch of X's, right, like any meme coin could do it, but you don't give them a reason to stay, they're not going to stay. They're going to go use that revenue to go earn more revenue. So if you just build that within the same system, they no longer need to leave. And you just need to make sure you're hitting all the things that they're looking for within the system, right? Like liquidity to back the system. If you don't have enough liquidity, you're pretty much just playing musical chairs. But if you keep adding liquidity with every transaction like our code does, you make sure there's enough chairs for everyone so people aren't rushing for the exit door, right? Or
you're spot on with that, Greg, because I mean, like even myself, back in 2021, going from the end of 2021, I did a 11x with Shiba Inu, turned 8K to 88K, but then I parked it immediately to like blue chips, what I mean, and got really into studying, some of the utility projects and so on. So yes, absolutely, people are going to exit and so on. You got to give people the reason to stay. I like your explanation here.
Well, and the thing with utility projects, right? A lot of people feel good when that word utility, this is like another thing I studied because this was big last cycle, right? DeFi utility-based protocols. But what a lot of people don't realize is everyone was slapping on a utility to a product or to a token, thinking that gave it product market fit. But you still are actually in the same exact problem you are with just a token, is if you don't have a user willing to use that utility, you ultimately have nothing. And that was the problem with most utility tokens is they put a utility behind the token, but the utility wasn't unnecessary. There was no need to actually use that utility for a charge. And that's what makes our utility behind our protocol very, very unique, is it's not based on humans interacting. It's a mechanical running system that funds the system, right? And that's something I just wanted to build up because that was a big thing last cycle is DeFi and utility-based protocols. But that's why I think this cycle is more meme coin based, is because the industry realized it wasn't about having the utility if your utility didn't have a use. If there wasn't a huge demand for that utility. They're just slapping it on left and right, hoping people would use it. You might as well just slap a JPEG picture on the token if that's the game you're playing, because you need there to be a demand to that utility, or it just doesn't even need to be there. And that's what was very unique about our system, is that our utility isn't dependent on pretty much human interaction. And that's where, if you pay attention to the world, right, every single business, every single industry is moving away from human interaction. Why? Because they're unreliable. Why do you think every place of business is moving to robotics to replace workers, or AI to replace coders or technology? It's because humans are not reliable and codes and mechanics are. So it just makes sense within this crypto industry that we would evolve as well and then replace the human interaction to drive our prices up with mechanical interaction to drive our prices up. We're just ahead of the curve, in my opinion.
okay.
Right,
Fair
so
enough. Prairie Banana, I think you had something you want to say. We also had a question from somebody, which is nice. So I don't know. I actually want to respect that real quick before I apologize. Kick it over to you, Prairie Banana. So one thing that was asked recently in the chat was from Princess Peach. By the way, welcome. Fees are 1% earned or 1% total in account. I think we answered that earlier, but you guys want to expand a little bit more in regards to that question?
I think what they're getting at is pTGC holders earn 1%. Stakers are an additional 1%. And I've got a slide in that deck down below that will show the APY for holding and staking. And then for UFO, they're asking about UFO. 1% of the transaction fee goes to holders, and 3% goes to LP providers.
My bad. You literally have it in the chat. So okay, cool.
That's fine.
Yeah. All right. The other thing I wanted to just, before you get into what you have that I saw on the screen here.
Sure.
So in real time, I guess you could say on your site, I'm seeing things on Grace Currency, like it's flashing, right? Everybody sees this on the screen, like pTGC/PLS, 125x, and it goes to like, I don't know, some of these other numbers and so on. Just briefly explain why it's constantly doing that. I just would like to know.
Zen, do you know the answer? I didn't build this site, Max. A buddy of mine did.
No, it's all good. I'm just curious about some of that stuff. It's not FUD
Sure.
or anything. I'm just curious.
The numbers on the left just flash. They don't mean anything. Ultimately, what this is it's just a calculator where you can plug in what X's you believe the blockchain will do and what X's you believe the token will do on top of that. And you kind of just create your own number based on that.
Okay. Well, thanks for the clarity on that.
Yeah, but those numbers on the side are just flashing there for fun, ultimately.
All right. I say that because I use, a thing that I'm part of, Chain Stats Pro, and we have it in real time. So I was like, wow, maybe these guys have it in real time too. Anyway, listen, I want to kick it over to Prairie Banana. I know you have some things you want to get into in regards to your slides. You want me to go ahead and add that to the stage?
Wait, just one moment. I want to make a comment on this slide here, Max,
Sure.
and that the UFO, the answer would be the same. If UFO moved up against PLS at a 5 and pulsed at a 100x, it would be a 500x on UFO too.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Awesome.
So yeah, the slide deck would be awesome. And I'll just run through this real quick. It shouldn't take but a few minutes.
Yeah, no problem. Let me just go ahead and add that. So this is the one you wanted to add, bring up on the screen?
That's the one. So 5% fee on pTGC, 6% on UFO. Let's see if I can advance. There we go. Here's an illustration of our liquidity web. So and UFO and pTGC, as we saw and look into secretobank.com, are tightly bonded themselves. So when one goes up, it's going to drag the other one up. But here are many of the tokens that we're bonded with. And we like to call ourselves kind of the easy button because we're bonded with so many blue chip promising tokens on the Pulse network. Anybody can literally hold these tokens, and you're holding a piece of all of these other tokens. So it's like the easy button. You come over to the Pulse chain, you're like, I don't know, there's so many tokens in here. Where do I start? Well, you can start with pTGC and UFO and then go from there. Because when you hold pTGC and UFO, you're holding a piece of these other tokens.
Very cool.
Now, this right here, this is a chart built by another friend of mine, and it's going to illustrate in a short time frame. I have another one right after this one that's a longer time frame. This is a short time frame comparing UFO in the green, pTGC in the gold, BTC, Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum down here. Okay, and you can see how we've been moving up against those tokens. Now let's look at the longer time frame.
And that's as of February 14th. So that's pretty darn recent. That's very impressive.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of volatility back in these flat lines that you can't see, but I mean, clearly, wow, that's impressive to me. Still, it almost gives me goosebumps.
Now, this is cited from your chart from what particular site, just in case somebody else wanted to look at this?
From what I understand, he got this from Dex Screener.
Okay.
There's
Oh, I
actually
see on the top the USD slash wrapped pulse chain or PLS, excuse me. Okay.
Yep. Okay, and this is the next
Yeah,
slide.
he's just overlaying multiple charts on percentages with them showing the percentages increase and decrease on the right, and this is just on DEX screener.
Yeah, I get that. I'm a former educator. We cite everything. People want references,
Oh,
so
there you
that's
go.
all it is.
Okay.
So there you go.
That's a fair point, Max. I like that. Okay, the next one is going to be a short time frame showing PTDC and UFO versus the tokens, like I think the top 3 or 4. Let's see. Yeah, the top 4 tokens that it's bonded with. Short time frame. Again, PTDC up here in the gold, UFO in the green, ink, hex, pulse hex, and pulse. Now let's look at it in the longer time frame. Okay, I need to make this point. Pulse is half of SAC price right now. We have done in the last year, PTDC has done like a 50x against Pulse. UFO came out in May of last year. It came out after PTDC, and UFO has done, I don't know, 30 or 40x against Pulse. So what's going to happen when Pulse chain makes its run? I'm just gonna throw that out there to
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I would like to point out on this idea, just because it's specific to where we are on Pulse Chain right now, is this is the 3rd time Pulse Chain has hit these low prices. Mm-hmm. So Pulse Chain has technically round tripped twice in the last year and a half. What's interesting, every time you measure from this point on our chart when Pulse Chain hits its lows, we do hit lower periods as well because of us being bonded to Pulse Chain and the whole entire market being bonded together, right? It ultimately drags us down. But when Pulse Chain rallies back up, the first time from the low to the high, we did a 45x. So from like the point we are right now, and then the second time we did 50x. And pretty much we've came back down and we're at that starting point again. And again, that's, no financial advice. This thing is obviously speculative, but the past we've at these areas, PTGC and UFO have pretty much done like a 40x after these entry points.
That's super impressive. I mean, even myself, like, at the height of what Jasmy was doing, almost reached 6 cents. I mean, like that was a little bit over a 25x. Clear pull, my last bag, a 25x. Even on my XRPs, I mean, it's just like was about a 5-6x give or take. So that is incredibly impressive to say the least.
Well, thank you. And this next slide is going to show the APYs. So let's get over to that one. Okay, we have a test wallet, and we have a year's worth of data on the PTDC wallet. UFO hasn't been out a year yet, but we started a test wallet like right after it launched. So now I want to explain that, like if you LP UFO and an RH ticker, that UFO is not going to earn reflections. So the people that are simply holding their UFO are getting all of those reflections, and that's probably why you see a large difference between LP APY and reflections APY. And then PTDC, there's the reflection, staking, and locking APY. And that's all from a test wallets.
That's awesome. Grace, I hope you're not disturbed with me muting you. It's the background noise and so on. That's all. It's just with the flow. Okay. So I hope you're not taking that personal.
Probably not. And he's probably at work.
Okay. No, not at all. I didn't notice it at all. So keep muting me if I forget.
No problem. I didn't want to come across as like, man, what's up with this guy? I come on here, he keeps muting me. Anyway. Sure. Very cool. Very cool. I mean, it's very impressive. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
2 more slides. I'm actually going to skip that. I'm looking at my slide deck over here. And
first of all, Prairie Banana, I just want to state this. There's no rush. You're fine. If you need a little more time, I mean, it's cool, man. I mean, anybody knows me. I've done some crazy, like, WrestleMania type shows as our community pointed out, to say the least. So you're more than fine. I'm glad to have you guys on. Hey guys, if you're paying attention to this stuff, can you just simply just do this a favor? Type this into the comments, pTGC, or just type in UFO, for we know you're still here. Because I know some of you guys are paying attention. We have a great crowd, by the way. You guys really rock. I really appreciate you guys having an open mind to something that, you know, we normally don't discuss here, other than like the blue chips. So we have 519 on the combined live. Those are some pretty good numbers, considering this is something that you normally don't see from me. So I just want to say I really appreciate you. I know that Prairie Banana and Gray obviously appreciate you guys tuning in. I see you in the comments. Thank you so much, Rory, Gugod, Jamie K, Fam, Tim Shea, Cheese. Welcome, you know, WF Capital. I want to give a shout out to this guy real quick because it is his birthday. Behudat says, peace, Max, and the two guests in the chat. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
You know, saw on the live. So we really appreciate you guys even taking time on your birthday to hear some of this stuff. How cool is that? I mean, we're all about community. I just want to throw that out there because I know I was interacting with the community for a bit. But guys, thank you. That means a lot to all of us.
Right on. Good deal, Max. I like that. So yeah, I see over 80 people in the live on YouTube. So that's wonderful. 2 more slides and I will relax. Max, I will relax. Okay. I'm going to skip past one slide and come back to it. Now this is an illustration. What this slide does is it illustrates the power of a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization, and what the DAO could do in theory. I don't think the DAO would actually do this, but it has the ability to do this. If volume were $10 million per day on pTGC and UFO, and we've already seen multiple days on each token at $1 million plus. So if it was $10 million on each token per day, an average for a whole year, the DAO could burn $200,000 worth of tokens. You know, it could decide to buy those tokens and send them to the dead address where they can never be recovered. $50,000 a day would of that 0.5% of the transaction fee would burn, just naturally to burn tokens. $100,000 a day, where UFO burns 1%, and then so that'd be $128 million in a year of potential burning of pTGC tokens. You know, and what's the market cap? I think it's is it like $200 million right now? You're talking about burning half the market cap of the token in a year's time, potentially. Like I said, the DAO probably wouldn't do it, but it has the ability to do that. So what does that enable the DAO to do? What does that mean? It means the DAO has power. And like Zen said, it's not a train on a track where it can only just go forward and back. It can pivot and make decisions on a dime. So,
wow, guys, I want to throw this out real quick. You guys know that we cover a lot of, you know, the blue chips like your Stellars. What is one thing that Danelle Dixon, a Stellar, what is the thing that she pointed out late last year? She says, watch out at a height of the bull run with the 4-year cycle. You know, she was asked, what stands out for you? And she's like, it's DAOs, you know.
oh, really?
Yeah, she said that quote. I even have the quote in the interview. So now you hear Prairie Banana talking about DAOs. I'm like, this is all kind of making sense to me in my eyes.
That is interesting. So just so the people know, you're like, what is this DAO thing? Well, it's everybody that is a staker, a pTGC staker, and UFO is not a DAO. pTGC is the DAO. Everybody that stakes pTGC has a vote. You can vote on proposals. The top 100 stakers. Now, do you think they have do you think they're incentivized to see pTGC be successful? Yes. The top 100 pTGC stakers can submit proposals. Everybody can vote. Everybody that's a staker can vote on proposals.
That's cool. You guys have governance. That's what tells me is, yeah.
It's locked up tight. I mean, the DAO, it's impressive. So I'm going to go back one slide and show you, because I imagine some people in your audience want may want to find out more information, where can I learn about these tokens?
Can I comment real quick, Banana?
Yeah, please.
So I wanted to bring up that $10 million in daily volume and how actually that is an obtainable or easily obtainable number. So I think today, for an example, we have both tokens over 500K in volume. So that would be a 20x from today's numbers. What we have to remember is that the blockchain is actually at all-time lows. So since our system can actually mechanically drive the volume, it isn't only dependent on the humans to drive the volume. We can mechanically increase this as the blockchain increases in value. So what we've actually found is just with simple X's or price appreciations of the blockchain we're on, for an example, if the blockchain did a 20x, well, now all of our liquidity web would be 20x bigger. So market makers would need to move 20 times the amount of revenue. That would right there put us around the $10 million a day of daily volume. And that's just the blockchain doing a 20x. If you look at the average of most other blockchains, they do much more of that. So I just wanted to bring up, with Pulse Chain being remotely successful, it sends our system into these levels of $10 million a day, or possibly into these levels of $10 million a day of volume, because it's mechanically driven. And that could equal, like the DAO, like Banana said, the DAO most likely isn't going to only do buy and burns, right? But even if a portion of that value went to buy and burns, let's say half, we could be at, 80, 75 million dollars a year in buy and burns. And what a buy and burn really is, it's an investor investing in the protocol and then just sending his tokens to a dead address. If you think about, a token of this size or any token out there, imagine if they had an investor or a person who was willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a day and just send the tokens to the dead address forever, infinitely. That's ultimately what's built into the code of this.
Jeez, Gray, that is incredible, because infinitely, like I'm sure you remember this yourself, and also you, Prairie, if you guys have been paying attention to this, I'm sure you guys have. Hello, Shiba Inu back in the day. Vitalik Buterin, when he did the whole thing with sent it to India for the COVID relief. You guys remember that? That was an incredible amount, to say the least. So to see this be infinitely done, to me, that this actually over a time period is more significant than that one big moment, at least in my view.
That's really what's the most important factor of this is, with a lot of smaller tokens with lack of liquidity, yeah, you can get a lot of X's very quick, right? A brand new token comes out, it pumps up, it goes down. 99% of people miss this. 1% wins. Usually that guy's an insider, right? What I like to compare this to is the tortoise and the hare, right?
I was about to say that, literally. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the tortoise. It's just eating at it daily. Some days better than the others, right? Like some days volume on chain is lower, some days volume on chain is higher, but the volume is always there on chain. The markets are always moving. So what we can actually predict is, as Pulse Chain becomes more volatile, more volume comes on chain, more users come on chain, as the price of the tokens we're connected to appreciate along with our token appreciation, we can mechanically increase this volume. And what that's going to equal is just technically, like I like to use the word an investor, but it's not an investor, it's just the code just buying and then sending the tokens to the dead address infinitely. For as long as the Pulse Chain code exists, this will exist and remain to happen, because a good portion of the liquidity within pTGC is actually burnt and sent to the dead address as well. So no one can even take that liquidity from the users. UFO is a little different, right? Because it's all provided by the community. But how that works is the community is incentivized to keep the liquidity there with rewards and with price appreciation and deflationary mechanics, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of sustainability behind that. But we like to actually just multiply the numbers out, like what it could be with a remotely successful Pulse Chain, and then also explain like what that could equal when you expand that out between 365 days, because the numbers actually seem like unthinkable and unimaginable. And the reason why we like to expand these numbers out is because when we hit, or if we hit these numbers, the tokens will no longer be the prices they are today. They could be 100x what they are here, but there could still be a line of people waiting at the door to get their hands on a portion of this supply. Because the only way you can actually be, what would the word be, involved with this protocol, the only way you can earn a portion of the APY, the only way you can hold a super scarce asset that's hyper deflationary and price appreciation is you have to buy it. So if you can actually predict where this could be in the future, you could possibly get it at a discounted rate compared to be where it's valued at, let's say, a year from now, or 4 years from now, or 8 years from now, right?
Yeah, I loved your analogy about the tortoise and hare. I mean, I remember the whole thing, especially with SHIB. I mean, that was a big moment, and of course, the other big moments was, like SHIB getting listed on, was it Coinbase and some of the other ones. But we don't want just one big shock. Some people do. Don't get me wrong. Me personally, I like more sustainability over, like, to me that shows the strength of the project moving forward, other than just one way up volatile thing and then boom, drop, right? And don't get me wrong, I still hold a bunch of SHIB, right? But great analogy, because it is the tortoise versus the hare. Anyway.
Yeah, these tokens are like, I liken them to the golden goose of crypto. They're like the needle in the haystack. And that goose is when it's laying you eggs, you want to go like spend the eggs. That's the yield. That's how I look at yield from pTGC and UFO. That's the that's the fruit of the principle, the fruit of the goose. And I personally have no interest in killing my goose because I like those golden eggs.
Well, knowing that, you guys are incentivizing the ones that provide, towards the farming, right? Um, you know, that's your bread and butter to a sense, and you guys give them a little bit more incentives and rewards and so on. So, I mean, from beginning to end, pretty impressive to see how it all comes together. So, I'm obviously still learning, but I'm glad that I have I'm open minded to some of this stuff, because it's like there's so many narratives with anything and everything. Let's just be honest,
Yeah.
and I've been learning from Adam. Vibra Finance. He's so passionate about what he has, but I mean, he's just like click, click, snap, snap, boom, boom. I'm not up to that by any means, but the way I look at it, all of us bring something to the space in our own way, and I'm just really glad that we still have a pretty good amount of people, way more people on X is the way it is, but that's okay. Very blessed to have you guys here. Is there anything else you want to get into? By all means, I mean, I'm not rushing you guys out. I want you guys to feel welcome here, and
Sure.
anything else you want to share.
Yep.
So
I have one more slide. And
Sure.
then Adam, I wanted to make a comment on Adam too, that he is another researcher like yourself. And I appreciate that. I really do. So the last slide is for people, like, if you're wondering where can I find out more? Well, obviously our Telegram, which I should post in here. Give me one moment. And
Yeah, by all means, guys, he's about to post it in the chat. Take a look into it. While he's pulling that up, real quick, Prairie Banana, I just want to point you guys towards his channel just for a brief moment. We'll come back to, of course, your slide. Here's his channel, everybody. I'm going to full screen this. You can follow Mr. Banana here, the Prairie Banana, over at literally at the Prairie Banana. I'm subscribed to him. He has an AMA scheduled for tomorrow at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So
it's actually a Spaces tomorrow.
Oh, okay, my bad.
AMA is going to be on Sunday.
Okay, but anyway, you guys see it scheduled, and then he has another thing going on Sunday. So very cool to see that. Give him a subscription, follow him, and speaking of follow, you can follow him over on his X. He, of course, shared this earlier, but let's just give him a plug. So here's his X, and that one is just at Prairie Banana. I don't know, Gray, if you have something you want to share to follow, but whatever the case be, obviously these guys are really passionate about what they do. They share in detail what they have, very, very professional about how they go about it.
Okay, the main account, we call it the main account. The pTGC account is Pulse TGC on Twitter. And Max, I couldn't put the Telegram in the chat, so I private messaged it to you. So if you could,
oh yeah, that's right, because you're not a here. We're gonna fix that. Let me see.
Okay.
We're gonna make you a moderator. You can just drop it in there for it because it gets flagged. You know what I mean, for spam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Make a moderator. Yeah, why not, man? Welcome to the Maximus Crypto community, both of you guys. So
You're very kind. So
yeah,
we have.
Let me just do that.
So we have 6 public meetings a week. We have 2 spaces. Thank you, Max. 2 spaces, 2 AMAs, and 2 voice chats. And if you guys want to screenshot that, if you want to jump in, I'm doing an EMA. It'll be more like a presentation style on Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific. If anybody wants to jump in, learn more about the grays, ask me questions, you can do that. We'll be on Spaces. Zen and I will both be on Twitter Spaces tomorrow, and you can find that on Pulse TGC on Twitter at Pulse TGC. Spaces tomorrow at 7 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, also keep in mind, guys, with the Spaces tomorrow, Banana does it live on YouTube as well, and he brings up visuals the whole entire time. So if you're not someone who actually likes going up on the Spaces and talking, and you more like just listening, you can actually go on YouTube with Banana. As we're just having general conversation with the community, he actually brings up visuals about the stuff we're talking about. And also, more importantly, if you have questions and you just don't like publicly speaking, you can type your questions into the comments, and Banana will ask the questions live for you as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, and Max, if you have any questions about the Grays currencies, don't hesitate to reach out on X, or I don't know if you're on Telegram, but probably the largest body of pTGC and UFO OGs is going to be in our Telegram, and there's I think 2,800 or 2,300 people in there. And if you guys have questions, you can jump in there and do that. But Max, I will open you up. If you want to reach out to me, you are more than welcome to.
Yeah, sounds good. The way I look at it is I'm looking to, this is not we call it, a one stop, one time only thing that we're doing here. Obviously we shared, this is our second time, technically speaking, or maybe our third time. Yeah, I think maybe our third time. So there was one time I had Adam from Vita Finance on here. We shared some of these projects, and then on top of that, we did another one, which was GuGod, Vibra Finance. Yeah, and then we also have my friend Will Fix on that one. So technically, guys, this is the third time we've done this. So we're going to look to do it a little bit more often. It might not necessarily be every day, because I added it up one day, about 15 projects with what I normally cover. But whatever the case be, we'll try to give you guys some updates, and we'll go from here.
That sounds great, man.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you gentlemen would like to share before, I guess, we wrap things up?
I'm good. Zen, I really appreciate you having us up. Really, truly.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no, I'm good also. Thank you, Max, for having us. I appreciate you taking the time just to learn about pTGC and UFO. I know we kind of spit out a lot of data, and maybe almost too much data sometimes, so I apologize for that. But
don't apologize for that's what I'm known for. I spit out way too much. That's a criticism I get. You don't summarize enough. All you do is deep dives. Well, that's what I do. So, hey, birds of the feather flock together in their own way, right? So, whatever the case be, I'm glad to have you guys here. People in the chat just recognize you guys and so on. For example, some of you guys in the space, we appreciate you guys. Just want to state that. Yeah, thank you so much, pTGC space. You got in the house. We have Jones says, hi, Max and Co. Crypto newbie following a couple for weeks now. Hey, thank you. We welcome you.
Nice.
Yeah. Great show. I do have to own ETH to get these products. Watching for Ireland. I think through MetaMask, and then Prairie Banana showed with some of his tutorials and so on. Switching the network, obviously the Pulse chain through your MetaMask and so on. Unless there's another thing I'm not aware of, Prairie Banana.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and then this one you can bridge ETH to Pulse chain, absolutely. So
there you go.
Other than that, we're gonna do is we're gonna play the outro. Thank you again, guys, so much for tuning in, and gentlemen, thanks again for being here and so on. Know what you have, know why you hold it. Everybody, as the saying goes, the research trumps FUD 110%. We'll see you on the next one. Be out on the lookout for recorded videos. I did 2 today. They're in the recorded video section. There's a difference between the live section and the recorded videos. Take a look at them. Obviously got some new Quant for you, some ZBEC. You want to take a look into that, and then some more videos are coming out over the weekend. But thanks again, guys. This is us signing off. Here's the outro. Thank you.
So will the real men get up? I know you're fed up, ladies, but keep your head up. Child, things are gonna get easier. Keep your head up, child. Things will get brighter. Oh, keep your head up, child. Things are gonna get easier. Keep your head up, child. Things will get brighter. Hey yo, I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the ghetto didn't seem so tough. And though we had it rough, we always had enough. I huffed and puffed about my curfew and broke the rules. Ran with the local crew and had a smoke or two. And I realized mama really paid the price. She nearly gave her life to raise me right. And all I had to give her was my pipe dream of how I rock the mic and make it to the bright screen. I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. It's hard to be legit and still pay your rent. And in the end it seems I'm heading for the pen. I try to find my friends, but they're blowing in the wind. Last night my buddy lost his whole family. That's how I rock my mic and make it to the bright screen. I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. It's hard to be legit and still pay your rent. And in the end it seems I'm heading for the pen. I try to find my friends, but they're blowing in the wind. Last night my buddy lost his whole family. It's gonna take the man and me to talk to this is right. Though he seems to never let us. I try to keep my head up and still keep from getting wetter. You know it's funny when it rains it pours. Keep your head up, child. Things will get brighter. Keep your head up, child. Things are gonna get easier. Keep your head up, child. Things will get brighter. And to all the ladies having babies on their own, I know it's kind of rough and you feeling all alone. Daddy's long gone and he left you by your own. So thank the Lord for my kids, but then nobody else won't let you all by yourself. Cause I think we can make it, in fact I'm sure. And if you fall, stand tall and come back for more. Cause ain't nothing worse than when your son wants to know why his daddy don't love him no more. You can't complain, he was selfish. Hell of a hand without a man feeling helpless. Because there's too many things for you to deal with. Dying inside, but outside you're looking fearless. While the tears is rolling down the cheeks, you steady hoping things don't all that was weak. Cause if it did, it couldn't take it. And don't blame me, I was given this world, I couldn't make it. And now my son's getting older and older and older. my surviving friend. And this place, it seems it'll never let up. But please, you got to keep your head up.